Floyd, you made 230, and I get it, Skip. I can just imagine getting a check for $230 million. Like, hold on, I ain't see I, R, or S in that ring taking no blows, and I'm supposed to send them. Yep, you're supposed to send them their cut. That's the way it works. And what's so disappointing with me, Skip? Floyd Mayweather has gone through this before. What is it that you don't get? And I'm even more disappointed because you're on Instagram and on Twitter flaunting your
Is Mayweather broke?
Are y'all new here?
Yeah. Is he broke?
Yeah.
He's broke.
Shannon Sharpe has become one of the clearest voices challenging the image Floyd Mayweather spent years building. For a long time, Floyd didn't just sell boxing greatness, he sold the idea of absolute financial power. Money. Mayweather wasn't just a nickname, it became a full identity. Stacks of cash, diamond-heavy watches, exotic cars, private jets, luxury homes. Every post felt like a reminder that he wanted the world to see him as untouchable. But Shannon's question cuts straight through all of that shine. If your wealth is truly secure, why do you feel—
No, what do you make of it?
No, I don't like it. Skip, the man has made over $500 million.
$500 million?
In his last 3 fights. You're 50-0. You said you want to retire at 50-0. You said this was the last. Skip, I watched him be talking to Stephen A. Says, I'm done. I ain't coming back for no amount of money. I'm done. Come on, man. Come on, Floyd. This should be beneath.
That's the heart of Shannon's criticism. In his view, real wealth usually doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't need daily proof, endless captions, or camera-ready displays to feel legitimate. It sits still, it grows quietly, it doesn't panic. But Floyd's public image has often felt like a non-stop highlight reel of visible success, and Shannon keeps pointing out how strange that looks for someone who claims to be completely beyond financial worry. The more loudly a person insists everything is perfect, the more people start wondering what they are trying to drown out behind the scenes.
He's really gone.
Yeah, that's what you think. It's get the money, spend the money.
All that money.
Yeah, it took been 2 years.
So is it just his overhead is so high on a day-to-day, month-to-month? Like
I don't even want to talk about it. Like with the lifestyle, that money is gone. Trust me. Now it's like you call him, he'll be at your local host in a nightclub because you need that action right now.
Do you think he should?
And that is where the contradictions begin to hit harder. Floyd talks like a man whose money can never run out. He throws around huge figures, flashes cash, and presents himself as if financial pressure is something that only happens to other people. But then the public keeps hearing about tax questions, debt-related discussions, disputes over money, and even stories tied to betting pressure. Shannon's point is not simply that rich people can't have obligations. Of course they can.
It's worse, your jeweler filed a lawsuit against you in Miami. And many are saying you're gonna have to sell off your assets. I hate seeing this happen, bro. As I've always said, it's hard to make money, but it's even harder to keep it. Floyd.
That's why Shannon doesn't frame this as a simple money issue. To him, the bigger problem is the gap between the brand and the behavior. If you project total control, then every sign of strain becomes a much bigger story. If you market yourself as a financial mastermind, then every delayed payment, every public dispute, and every awkward explanation raises more questions than usual. In Shannon's eyes, the issue isn't just whether Floyd has money. It's whether the man who built his identity around being the smartest money figure in boxing may have turned wealth into a performance he now has to maintain at all costs.
Yeah, as you often say, you're just a guy with a job. I have a job, though. So who would you fight next?
And guess what? Your job don't pay like my job.
Well, it depends.
Your job don't pay like my job.
That brings me to another point. Why are you coming back?
I can make $200 million in 18 months because I want to. Because I want to come back and steal some more money. Is that okay with you?
It's fine. Okay, I enjoy watching your fights.
Okay.
Who might be next?
One of the biggest examples people keep pointing to is Floyd's continued appetite for exhibition fights and spectacle events. Shannon has repeatedly suggested that these matchups don't look like the moves of a man peacefully enjoying retirement. They look like cash flow events. Instead of walking away and letting the perfect record stand as history, Floyd keeps returning for contests that generate attention and quick revenue. And that's where the criticism gets sharp. If the empire is as stable as advertised, why keep—
Money made all day. You know, right here, a light million. Over there, counting up another million over there. Walk with me, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take you into my life. So Andrew Jackson, of course, is on the 20.
The quite big is what makes the exhibitions feel so revealing. They often aren't about chasing greatness anymore. They're not about climbing toward another historic championship. They're about visibility, leverage, and fresh money. Shannon sees that as a warning sign, not a business master class. In his mind, a truly secure empire doesn't need constant top-ups from novelty events, influencer fights, and low-stakes spectacles. A secure empire produces peace. A pressured empire keeps moving because standing still would expose too much. That is the
of boxing. Just
also
like the,
money.
Just like the, but I don't even think he don't need any money.
He spends so much money.
Yeah, but he don't need any. Floyd,
Are you sure?
Yeah, Floyd good.
I bet if he's playing for the future, you got to keep it coming in if you're going to keep spending the way he spends.
Yeah, but I think he has a lot of other business interests that he can get money from.
Hopefully.
And not just boxing. But it's the drug of getting Floyd still.
And once you start looking at it through that lens, the pattern becomes harder to ignore. The flexing gets louder, the appearances keep coming, the message never changes. Floyd wants the world to know he is still rich, still relevant, still untouchable. But the constant need to make that case is exactly what critics say makes the image feel less convincing, not more. Shannon's argument is that Floyd isn't just enjoying his success, he's performing success for survival. And once people sense that, the entire money persona starts to feel less like confidence and more like maintenance.
He was 84-0, right?
89, 90 and 0 before he lost.
89 and 0.
Wow.
So it's
Don't
not,
tell me about you the greatest fighter with 50 and 0, nigga. You're great, no doubt about it, nigga. 50 and 0. Chavez had 90.
Yeah.
He's fighting like what, 8 times a year.
Yeah, it's more to it than
whoever
that.
fought him. Whoever's in the rankings.
Well, I think it's all subjective.
Picking whoever you are, come on.
I think there are more metrics and more measures.
Shannon isn't the only one who has raised an eyebrow. Other major names around sports and fight culture have echoed similar doubts, even if they say it differently. Eddie Hearn has hinted that the public image doesn't always align with what the numbers suggest. Joe Rogan has openly questioned why a man who claims massive wealth still seems drawn toward exhibition paydays. These aren't random social media trolls throwing cheap shots. These are people who understand how money moves in sports, how image can be manufactured, and how financial pressure often hides behind showmanship.
And I'm pointing like this because all of it. We're in New York City right now. We're in Manhattan. That's what we do. Come on.
Joe Rogan's angle is especially interesting because he tends to focus on lifestyle. His point has been simple: Floyd lives at a level that demands constant fuel. $1-million watches, private travel, exotic cars, an entourage, luxury properties, endless displays of status. That machine doesn't slow down on its own. It has to be fed. And that is why Rogan and others keep asking the same uncomfortable question: if the income is truly endless, why does the hustle
see that he's lying and fraud? And when you look into his paperwork, everybody say the paperwork's still into the person name who owned it. So he going around fraud and taking false pictures.
Then there's Mike Tyson, whose perspective brings a different flavor to the debate. Tyson has known both the thrill of massive wealth and the pain of financial collapse. So when he talks about money, people listen differently. Tyson's basic feeling has often been that if Floyd has earned that much, he should enjoy it. But Shannon sees a distinction there. Enjoying wealth is one thing. Being consumed by the need to prove wealth is something else entirely. And in Floyd's case, Shannon believes the issue is not luxury itself. It's the obsession with public validation through luxury.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, limited edition AP, all factory. 1.8 million right here. The $20 bills section. We like to call this the Andrew Jackson section, but I like to call it wallpaper. 200,000 in 20s. I heard in the song you can get the biggest Chanel bag in the store if you want it. Well, it's the biggest Chanel bag in the world.
That obsession is why even seemingly unrelated stories start hitting Floyd harder than they would hit someone else. Take the Manhattan property controversy. When Floyd publicly made noise around luxury apartments and high-level real estate status, the backlash came quickly because people were already primed to question the image. Once doubt creeps into the public mind, every big money claim gets treated less like a victory lap and more like a fact-check challenge. And when the story looks shaky, critics like Shannon immediately point to it.
It's Money Made, Aaron Mayweather 2. Go Money Green on him. Change it up. Change it up. Change it up. That's what we do. There you go. There you go. There you go. That's what we did. I need everybody, all the fighters all around the world, MMA, boxers, follow this man right here. We getting the job done. Money Made, and y'all know the rest.
For Shannon, that's the deeper problem. It's no longer just about what Floyd owns. It's about how often he feels the need to announce what he owns, imply what he owns, or attach himself to symbols of power. In Shannon's reading, Floyd isn't selling smart wealth building, he's selling the theater of dominance. The story always has to end with him appearing richer, bigger, louder, and more superior than everybody watching. But when the theater starts cracking, the audience doesn't just question the props, they start questioning the whole production.
One thing, me and my buddy got it clear.
We said as long as it's 10 or 20, no problem. Anything less, can't be less than 10, because then we're struggling for money.
I had to show Eddie some of the account. Eddie, hold on.
Imagine how much money Floyd Mayweather would have made if I was his promoter back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
But when Eddie was,
two hungry fuckers for money.
That's also why Stephen A. Smith's comments hit so hard. Stephen A. has never sounded like someone who enjoys tearing Floyd down for sport. If anything, his words carried the weight of disappointment when he openly wondered whether Floyd's overhead had become so massive that the money was simply vanishing. It landed with force because it didn't sound like hate. It sounded like concern. That kind of criticism is more dangerous than trash talk. Trash talk can be dismissed.
Crazy that everybody keeps asking me,
people who once admired
why you not coming back to fight? Why you not coming back to fight? So I look at the fight game, I said, okay. I said, you know, fighters fighting, they make 3 million, 4 million, 6 million, 7 million. Some may make 10 or 20 million. But I'm doing exhibitions and I'm making 20, 25 million, 100 million for exhibitions. So why would I come back and fight?
And the optics don't help lavish spending stories. Keep feeding the same narrative. Luxury suites, giant bets, high-end parties, and over-the-top public displays may be perfectly consistent with Floyd's brand, but they also create a brutal contrast when money questions are already in the air. Because once the public senses possible pressure, every flashy move gets reinterpreted. What used to look like success starts looking like denial.
Just another
what
ordinary
once felt
day.
like dominance starts
Chilling
feeling
in
like
the
a man
EWB
trying
Rolls
to convince
Royce.
the world.
For those that don't know what an EWB is, that's an extended wheelbase Rolls Royce. I need the leg. I know I ain't that tall.
That's why Floyd's legacy is being debated in a much wider way now. It isn't only about who he beat, how brilliant his defense was, or whether he belongs at the very top of boxing history. More and more, the conversation is shifting toward value, authenticity, timing, and image management. People are asking whether the perfection of the record came with too much calculation, whether the business genius narrative has been exaggerated, and whether the modern version of Floyd is slowly weakening the respect the fighter version once commanded so naturally. Next Voice, James Toney's criticisms fit right into that larger conversation. Toney has always represented a harder, rougher school of boxing, one that values grit, danger, and taking on the smoke without so much concern for packaging. So when he downplays Floyd's greatest ever status, it reflects more than personal dislike. It reflects a wider frustration many old school fans have had for years, that Floyd mastered timing, matchmaking, and business so effectively that some people feel his legacy became too polished, too protected, too strategic. Fair or unfair, that argument still follows him everywhere. Add the financial controversies back into the mix and the picture becomes even messier. Public questions over taxes, crypto-related scrutiny, unresolved payment disputes, And repeated chatter about money owed all make Floyd's non-stop flexing feel riskier, because if those issues truly are just noise, then the easiest way to silence them would be stability. Instead, what the public often sees is another post, another display, another business angle, another event. That rhythm doesn't calm the conversation, it keeps it alive. And every time it stays alive, the brand takes another hit. Maybe why more people are starting to say Floyd doesn't just want to be rich, he wants to be seen as richer than everyone else at all times. And there is a huge difference between those two things. The first is financial, the second is psychological. Once wealth becomes something you must constantly display to protect your identity, it stops being freedom. It becomes pressure. It becomes a role you have to keep playing even when the stage lights are getting hotter and the audience is getting more skeptical. That shift is hurting his standing in the sport. Every time Floyd steps into another influencer-style event, it gives his critics more ammunition. Every time a public money dispute resurfaces, it adds another layer of doubt. Every time he leans harder into the private jet, selfie, luxury post version of himself, some fans feel the distance growing between the disciplined champion they respected and the celebrity figure they now see as overexposed. That doesn't erase what he